Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you for joining me. I'm Katie and today it looks like I've found another metallic watercolour palette. So this is the Derwent Metallic Watercolour Paint Pan Set, and as always it's a mouthful for me to say, and it is a pan with 12 different metallic colours in there. Just be careful when you're flipping out the sections. It's the usual Derwent paint pan setup with the removable trays and removable pens. You get a water brush and a little sponge, and for the sake of the video I'm not going to use the water brush. I tend to find them more of a trial item. Now this is going to be an intense swatching because it always is, but I have left a little timer up on the page if you want to skip past this, but I don't know why you'd want to. Swatching is fun. There are 12 different colours and they are split between having a gold base and a silver base for the sparkly stuff. The colours are gold, pale gold, silver, ice blue, blue, green, lime gold, sunset, red, pink, purple and deep graphite. I saw these in the art store below my studio and I must admit I thought I'm going to have to try these. These are new, they're made by Derwent. These are two things that are appealing to me already. And of course, as always with most pan sets I've found with Derwent, they have to do things a little differently to the others. We had the Inktense Pan Set, which is obviously nothing like a watercolour in the sense of how the pans behave, and I've also tried recently the Derwent Graphite Pan Set, which is just a dream, and I've gushed over that enough. On white paper, I tend to find that the gold tone ones are the sparkliest, especially the proper gold and the pale gold. They seem to be more sparkly and less pigmented, whereas all of the others seem to have a little bit more of a dye, I suppose, added to them, even though I feel they're more silver based. It's quite unusual. On white paper they show up beautifully, and I feel like they behave more like a pigmented watercolour rather than just a mica based one. And I know that's a bit weird saying that, but that's the sort of feels I'm getting. The sunset colour, however, it seemed to be a bit more sparkly but still had some pigments in there. They're very unusual. It's Derwent though. I'm not really expecting anything overly normal at the moment. And of course with them being Derwent, I noticed as well when I applied the water into the pans how buttery the pigments were compared to a regular watercolour. They seemed like they had the same texture as the graphite to paint with. Now I was curious if the deep graphite was anything like graphite, but no, it is its own entity in this. I found it a lot more pigmented and black rather than it being what you would expect from a graphite or anything that's got graphite in the title. But I like that. It's always good to have all different colours for your metallics. Now this is where the palette surprised me, and at first I thought this is a negative, but as I go on to the painting I do change my mind ever so slightly. So as you can see, the gold based paints really sparkle and show up, whereas the silver based ones, and I think that might just be because the particles have been milled more and obviously dissolve into the paint a little bit more. I did find that the colour saturation wasn't quite as strong as it was on the white paper, and I guess that might be just down to the fact it's a little bit transparent and that gets lost on the black paper. However, there is a very nice subtle colour there, and I think there's a nice balance of stronger colours as well as more subtle ones. One thing to note is with the silver based metallic paints is, yes, that colour's going to be apparent straight away, as you can see on the red and as well on the pink, but as it dries, as I'm sure you're noticing on screen right now, it goes a little bit lighter, and I guess again that's due to the particles rising to the top and the pigments sinking to the bottom. The graphite one surprised me because I thought it could go one of two ways. I thought it would go really light like the other pigments, or it would be lost entirely on the black paper, but I was surprised. It just about shows up. You can tell there's something there. The design I'm working on here is very loosely based on the packaging and the cardboard box. It's got some koi on there, and I thought, well, let's do a dragon version, shall we? I also decided to use black paper because I think that's the best place if you're just going to be working in metallics. That's the best place to paint, where it's going to show up because you've got that contrast. I really like how these travelled in the water when you do a wet and wet. However, I did find it a little bit strange that some of the particles, and again that might just be down to how finely some of them are milled, rose to the top rather than sank to the bottom and moved. I thought that was a bit unusual. However, it does leave an interesting effect, and again, when you get used to it, that's something you can utilise in a painting. I think they're good quality, I just don't think they're quite like what you would expect with the Van Gogh metallics or the Fine Tech or the Paul Rubens. They're also not like the Kuretake either, because they are quite opaque, but these are opaque but in a different way, in a more subtle way, we'll say. I like the fact that they don't require light to make them stand out on the page quite so predominantly, and again it all depends what you want from your metallics. And I am going to be doing a video soon where I compare all of the different metallic paints I've got, because I am a magpie and I hoard these things, but I do use them, and I really want to share with you what I find. I have just put it off because I found these and I thought, right, let's make it a fair test, so I have had to rejig about how I'm going to do this, but I did want to include this as well because it is different from the others. Unlike a lot of metallic watercolours I've used before, I did actually find that this was really good to go over with in a fine pen. Sometimes when I've used metallic paints, it still shines through the pen, which I kind of expect because the ink in the pen is slightly transparent, so that is going to show through. However, I was able to easily draw on the lighter areas. It didn't work so well on the gold areas, but I kind of expected that. But on the silver based pigments, I could draw over and add additional details and just tidy up some areas too. So I suppose really, would I recommend these? It depends. If you want something that is just going to be just metallics, then maybe these aren't the paints for you. If you just want to add a bit of sparkle somewhere, I think the non-gold based paints are not going to quite dazzle you as much as you'd hope. However, if you want to do something on black paper only and have that lovely travelling of paint, then yes, I like how these stand out. I've got everything I need in one palette, and you do get a bit of sparkle from it, but it's a little bit more subtle, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they're a nice quality paint to use, and for certain projects I think they'd be really good. But this is all just my opinion and me just exploring and sharing what I find with these things. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's been useful to you, and if you have enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Of course, drop what you want in the comments, I will get back to you, and if you're new here and made it this far, why not hit that subscribe button. Anyway, I will see you all on the next video. Bye!